think that Ember Moon could be a very strong contender for the 2019 Women's Rumble.
I hope so. I really do.
Unless something crazy happens or someone new and crazy gets added to the roster, with the rate we're going, I think Ember's got it. But until then, here we are with...
That's my biggest criticism coming out of Evolution.
On the bright side, however, speaking of the Battle Royal, I was really pleased and impressed by the work that Ivory did.
Oh,
I was a longtime fan of hers, and it seemed like she got a good solid run in the sun, and it seemed like time stood still for her.
Except for that dance bit with Carmella.
I loved that.
I'm sorry. I was actually warming up to Carmella, and then she did the floss dance, which I made it clear all over my social media. I hate that dance.
I hate it too, but you know what? I still like Ivory, so to me it balances out.
Oh, I love Ivory too. I trust me, I'm there with you, but not with It's like, oh no.
It was a nice little moment. It was
cute.
Yeah, it was cute. I dig it. But anyway, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Evolution without talking about the victory of my girl, Toni Storm, finally winning it, as it should be.
I love that the best criticism is they should have given at least 5 more minutes, and I can't argue that. But from what the time they were given, when they first came out, they got little to no crowd reaction because most of the mainstream crowd doesn't know who they are and they don't watch the Mae Young Classic. But once the match actually was getting going, the crowd was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm liking this. I'm liking what these girls are doing.
Which I kind of figured would happen. And
same.
Not for nothing. We already know Io Shirai is sticking around for a little while. We know she's got the chops. The biggest question mark for me was, okay, obviously they do still like Toni Storm, but how much do they like her enough to give her a contract?
I thought she already does. She's part of the NXT UK roster.
It seemed like it was just sort of an occasional thing. I wasn't entirely sure whether or not she actually signed something, but with this, it seemed like, yeah, they're more on board with Toni Storm now that they've been ever since. So, does that mean more Toni in our futures? I hope so.
Great opening video packages for the match. It's like these are these characters. Now see them wrestle in the finals, and it was a great match.
And I loved it. But yeah, I think it goes without saying that easily the match of the night, Charlotte and Becky.
Mm-hmm.
They put in some work.
What about that 6-woman tag? Sasha, Bayley, and Natalya versus the Riot Squad.
I just thought it was okay. To me, it fell in a similar vein as the opening match, Trish and Lita versus...
It was...
Yeah.
People calling this show and Crown Jewel a glorified house show. Those two matches were basically the perfect personification of that.
That I can see. But even so, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't like spectacular, earth-shattering match of the night material.
I don't think it was going...
It didn't have to be.
No.
It didn't have to be.
The ending was fun. And they definitely allowed these women to really go at it with each other. I mean, those big spots that they definitely showed the Riot Squad looking strong on this one. They're a strong unit. But, Sasha, Bayley, Natalya are the bigger names. So, of course, they were going to go over in a glorified house show.
So yeah, but before we move on, you said you did still have some. Were there any more complaints you had?
The only other criticism I had was the final shot of all the women standing. Okay. All the women standing at the Titantron or at the entrance ramp. I understood why they did it. But for me, like the thing I felt about it was basically like, yeah, this match was nothing. This whole event was nothing more than a PR stunt, and them at the end celebrating it was the perfect example of that. If it just ended with Ronda celebrating, I thought actually would have been a perfect show. But it did it really have to like break kayfabe and have all the female wrestlers, some who are like, you have Becky and Charlotte right next to each other, celebrating together. It's like, wait, don't they hate each other? Aren't you telling the story that these two women hate each other? Like I said, I understand the point of it, but if you're trying to keep kayfabe alive, that's not how you do it.
I experienced the same phenomenon right when they did that. I didn't see Charlotte and Becky right next to each other, but I had a similar moment where it was just, for a second, it took me out. Again, I understand why they did it, but when you pat yourself on the back too much, it just looks like the whole thing looks way too self-congratulatory. I mean, you're not
Thank you, WWE.
You're not
for giving us this opportunity, even though 10 years ago we were having bra and panties matches.
Yeah, WWE, you're not Barry Horowitz. You don't need to keep patting yourself on the back.
Apparently they think they do.
Well, all that aside, what would you give a final face share rating to WWE Evolution?
For WWE Evolution, the two criticisms aside, I thought this was a great show. It exceeded expectations. It's actually worth watching again, specifically for that last woman standing match. So I'm going to give it a full beard, 4 out of 5.
I'm going to join you on that full beard. There is, again, defied expectations. There was a lot to enjoy here. The weak points, they're definitely noticeable, but otherwise it was a pretty damn good show all around.
If Ember won, not just for prediction, but if Ember won, and if they just closed with Ronda Rousey winning, it would have been a goat face for me. Because I'm just like, yay, progression. It's like progression, not just because, women's wrestling. A progression in storylines. Giving Ember something to do. Oh, you have Ronda standing tall over the evil Bella twins. Yay. And it's like, oh yeah, Ronda won. But guess what? We're women and proud. WWE gave us this opportunity. Thank you. Oh, and also promoting Crown Jewel on the event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Get that off screen. Boo, boo. Oh my God, they're booing us. They're getting it. They're getting it.
Yeah. Ultimately, I expect to be in the minority here, but ultimately for me, if you know that your people are very talented and you don't need to dress it up any more than you need to. Let their work speak for themselves, and it will speak for themselves. You put on a good show, and like we were just talking about, we will watch. That's all. We're wrestling fans. That's all we ultimately want. And thankfully, these ladies put on a show, and damned if they didn't do a damn good job with it. Damn. Golf clap to Evolution. Digging it. But now we move at breakneck speed from one pay-per-view special event, whatever the
glorified house show,
whatever you're calling it these days, to another. Now we got to predict WWE Crown Jewel. Starting with the recently announced pre-show match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Rusev for the U.S. Championship. I know, it just sort of caught us all off guard.
Talk about a match thrown together.
Fool, what do you got for this one?
Well, I just found out about this match literally before we started recording. So, really thinking about it, there's no build to it at all. But you can pretty much say that with Shinsuke Nakamura's entitled U.S. title reign, which is sad all on its own. He deserves a lot more. Not the championship, but everyone knows my feelings about the U.S. championship. I'm going to say Shinsuke Nakamura retains. If anything, I see, if they're going to continue Rusev with Aiden English, unless that whole squash that Rusev did to him was the end of the story. But even so, I'm going to say Shinsuke successfully retains.
Yeah. I do not see something going too crazy here, especially for a pre-show. I just don't see it happening, especially at an event like this. They're going to preserve the status quo here. There's no reason at all for them to shake things up. So, yeah, I'm going to pick Shinsuke to win also. Now, moving on to more interesting subjects. The WWE World Cup.
To determine the best in the world.
Heavy quotes, finger quotes.
Hence why I'm wearing this shirt.
Yes, indeed.
Thought it was perfect for this.
Yeah, so we've got Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, Kurt Angle, Dolph Ziggler, Jeff Hardy, The Miz, Rey Mysterio, and Randy Orton in the running. Lashley, of course, replacing the I don't want to go to the United Saudi Arabia. Wow, what am I talking about? I don't know geography good. Cena.
He's not in it.
I know. That's why I said he's replacing him.
Okay, I was like, that can't be your prediction. He's not in it.
Yes.
But yeah, who do you got?
For this one, I'm going to go with my gut here, and it was the gut reaction I got as soon as I found out that he was in this. He just came back, and I'm thinking that part of the reason he came back was to make a big old splash. I just think he fits way too well as a winner. I am going to go for my pick, Rey Mysterio to win.
It's actually funny you say that, because I'm actually going to say Rey Mysterio is going to be in the finals. They on SmackDown, they threw that storyline that whoever is in the finals and whoever is on the SmackDown side who makes it to the finals and loses will be fired from SmackDown. I see this as a reason to get Rey Mysterio off SmackDown and move him to Raw.
Interesting.
Like, have Mysterio show up for SmackDown 1000 since he debuted on SmackDown, but have him move to Raw because that's where the big boys, or at least Vince McMahon favorites, likes to play.
So
I'm gonna say it's a Raw guy, and I'm trying to think of like how this. Just remember, this show is not for us. This show is for the Crown Prince. And if I'm trying to, and come on, hell, he wanted Yokozuna to come back for the Greatest Royal Rumble, and Andre the Giant, I believe.
Do you even watch the product, Princey boy?
Well, in the 80s, early 90s, sure.
I like the Hulk Hogan.
He's hosting the event.
Oh yes, I heard that too, brother.
Oh, that's gonna be a very fun moment. But I'm trying to think. This is actually the hardest one for me, and I've been thinking about it even on the way here.
It could be almost anybody.
When it comes like to the quarterfinals, like everyone's like all the predictions I've seen are choosing Seth Rollins, but it's kind of hard for me to see that because of Dean Ambrose. I see Dean Ambrose being a factor of getting him out of the event.
I agree.
And that's something nobody is saying, so I'm kind of shocked on that one. So basically, it's a toss-up between Lashley and Angle. But then I'm also just trying to think who needs this more, and where are they going to go with it? I'm going to go with Kurt Angle, just because he's a legend. It's going to be I think it's going to be between him and Bobby Lashley. I don't think as much as I would love to see Ziggler win it, but he's just going to get the first pin from Angle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to go with Kurt Angle on this one.
Yeah. For me personally, it was down to between Kurt Angle or Rey Mysterio. I don't blame you at all for picking Angle. So yeah, this could go pretty much any way. And for the sake of completion, Brian did send in his predictions. We wish you speedy recovery from the alien disease. So yeah, he picked The Miz. I didn't get his logic behind it, but I'm sure we'll see and hear it all next week.
He probably just expects a heel to win it because heels are always fun when it's winning these kind of tournaments.
Very true. Plus, it'll give The Miz fuel for several more months after this fact. So I get the logic, but hey, we'll see what happens. This is certainly going to make it for an enjoyable ride.
I actually think I think this match in particular is going to be a deciding factor in you versus Brian.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because let's see. I'm looking at the rest of his predictions. It's hard for me to argue. One I can argue.
No.
But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yes. moving on to the next match on the card, we've got your boy Cesaro and Sheamus